श्री गुरु परंपरा की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रील गुरु महाराज की जय. Thank you everyone. Thanks for joining. So, if I understand, it is yeah. Okay, so we'll say our prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurumlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. नमो विष्णुपादे कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत अग्रधरा शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Okay. So we have shloka 1.30 and 31. Um, न च शक्नोमि अवस्थितं भ्रमति वा चामे मनः निमित्तानि च पश्यामि विपरीतानि केशव. Translation: I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Kesi demon. So Arjuna is sharing his um, situation of his mind, his plight at that beginning there in the battlefield. Battle is about to begin, and Arjuna is now changing his stance. That what he was here for. Now he wants to change his stance. He is not thinking of fighting right now. There's a change in decision. So we have another shloka 1.31. नाचाश्रयो अनुपश्यामि हत्वा स्वार्जनम् अहवे नाकाङ्क्षे विजयं कृष्णा न च राज्यं सुखानि च. Arjuna says, translation. Arjuna says, I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle. Nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. So, Pandavas by nature are in state of goodness. They are Kshatriya. They are devotee of, they are relative of Krishna, Balrama, Krishna Balrama. And they are also friends with them. Um, and Arjuna is very dear to Lord Krishna, and Arjuna is here a devotee of um, Lord Krishna also. So, that's why Lord Krishna chose to act as a charioteer of uh, Arjuna. Nobody else but only Arjuna. So Arjuna is very dear to him, and through medium of Arjuna, we get to get this um, spiritual science of Krishna consciousness, Bhakti Yoga, and everything, Bhagavad Gita through a medium of Arjuna. So Arjuna is like a he's like representing everyone else in this material world. All the jivatmas who are confused and they are stuck in this material world. So through Arjuna, we get the knowledge of right and wrong. What we get to know although sometimes people who are interested in following dharma, religion, how people can be confused, not knowing what is right, what is wrong. Although they want to follow dharma, sometimes thinking what looks like right dharma is actually adharma. For example, here Arjuna is a Kshatriya and his dharma is to fight, right? Just like it's the nature of Brahmana to acquire knowledge, and they are the intelligence class, and they guide and instruct the rest of the society. Vaishya, they take care of the cattle, cows, and the land and crops and agriculture, and Shudras, they support the other three varnas and the poor ashramas. So we get to know, but sometimes not having right knowledge or perfect knowledge or complete knowledge, we can be confused in accepting uh, what looks like right or dharma is actually adharma. For example, Kshatriya class has to fight. They cannot. Here, Arjuna is a Kshatriya, so he has to follow that his dharma, his duty. Otherwise, there can be disturbance in the society. You know, there can be miscreants who will do wrong and harm the rest of the society. So, like that, Brahmanas are supposed to acquire knowledge and guide the rest of the society. So, let's see what Prabhupada says. Um, Viparitani means just the opposite. The useful purpose or cause for which I have come here to fight is to regain my kingdom, right? That's Arjuna. But now I see that Viparitani, just the opposite, it will be useless. Why it will be useless? Prabhupada explains. Because one tries to become or gain riches, opulent, and this is the nature of the material world. Um, in one way or another, it is actually you are doing this to show off, to your relatives, to friends or family members, to society. And this is the psychology behind such an endeavor or purpose. This is material or maya or illusion because nobody is working hard for serving Krishna. Everybody is doing it for their own sense gratification. Whereas Krishna consciousness means the same hardship work is undertaken for Krishna or for the pleasure of Krishna. So that becomes a service to Krishna, and that's Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada emphasizes that what needs to be noted here is that we don't stop our working capacity, we don't stop acting or working, but we simply change our position. Instead of sense gratification for our own pleasure, it is for the pleasure or service of Krishna. That's Krishna consciousness. So we employ our effort or endeavor for the service of Krishna. So Prabhupada says that there is no happiness within the three worlds, whether you go to higher planetary system, heavenly planets, Brahma Loka, or down, Patala Loka, Patala Loka, the lower planetary system, and we are on Earth. So there is no happiness. Although you can have a very long duration of life, you can have very high standard of living, but still there is no happiness. There is birth, death, old age, and disease maybe in one form or another, although there is very long life in higher planetary system, and you can have very high comfort mechanical system in lower planetary system. But still, these Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Doshana, Anu, Darshanam, Bhagavad Gita 13.9. Um, so therefore, our aim should be only how to go back home, back to Godhead. So nimittani viparitani, this viparitani, when we are materially conscious, we see that without happiness of myself or family, society, country, community. So this is actually happiness in terms of expanded selfishness. So ego is actually our false identity in terms of mamta, ahamta and mamta. It's like what I believe is I and what I believe is mine. So in terms of that, what I say is I am and what is mine, ahamta and mamta. And that is what Prabhupada is saying here is like expanded selfishness. My immediate happiness and my extended um, happiness for what I consider to be part of my family, extended family. Um, so mind functions, the functions of mind is thinking, feeling, and willing. Um, Through that, we expand the scope of happiness. But there is no happiness in this material world. So here Arjuna is acting, he's playing the role of an um, ordinary foolish person, So there are different grades of foolishness. So this is to teach us. Srimad Bhagavad Gita teaches us perfect spiritual science of Krishna consciousness. And it is coming directly from Bhagavan himself, Lord Shri Krishna, to his dear devotee, Arjuna. And through Arjuna, we get to know because he's asking questions we can ask. If we take the spiritual life, we will have these questions. And all these questions are answered one by Arjuna asking Lord Krishna. He surrendered to Lord Krishna, and then all his answers, all his doubts are removed. So this goes on in every universe. Once, this Bhagavad Gita discourse, this Mahabharata, and Arjuna asking questions. So this is happening in every universe. There are millions of billions of universe floating in this Karna ocean, and there will be this role of Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita discourse and Arjuna asking questions. So this is for our confused jivatmas who are stuck in this material world. Nimittani viparitani. Where is my happiness? I came here to fight to get happiness through victory, and I have to kill my own kinsman. Um, so this is like extended family. And then where is my happiness? I cannot enjoy the property or the kingdom I gain alone. There must be others, like family members, society, etc. Everything. So, so even if Arjuna becomes king, and if they all die, then who will he share his opulence with? To whom he is going to show? This is the psychology, right? Nimittani cha viparitani pashyami. Just the opposite. The outcome seems to be just the opposite. So this is all illusion. There is no happiness. Expanded selfishness. That is all is expanded selfishness. So Prabhupada says that as long as a person is materially attached, he is going to experience this in this material world. He will find it to be viparitani. So in this material world, you will try to gain riches for your happiness or expanded happiness, selfishness. But Maya will also create a situation which will put you into the most miserable situation, and this is called material world, because of to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So what you do today action, you are storing the reaction for that in your subtle body. For every cause there is an effect, so for every karma there is an action reaction, and that's when we get our subtle body, and this is our prarabdha karma, what we uh, accumulated karma in the past life and what was chosen from that bucket for our present life, that is prarabdha karma. That is what we will have to face in this material life. So this is the reaction, both for the pious activities we did and for the impious activities, sinful activities we did. So this is stored in our subtle body. So that is prarabdha karma. This is our destiny in the present life. This is our present destiny. Of course, when you come to bhakti yoga, you take to Krishna consciousness, you surrender to Krishna, you can change that. But changing prarabdha karma is actually the most difficult. But Krishna says, when it says it still can be changed, but you have to surrender to Krishna. And if he's pleased, that can be changed. Therefore, a person who is intelligent, he will think that if I have to work so hard for so-called happiness, which is actually material happiness, which is under illusion. And here, Krishna is canvassing. Prabhupada says that he's actually through this Bhagavad Gita discourse, he's canvassing, he's telling him the right thing to do. And he's telling him, Arjuna, you work for me. And he's through Arjuna, he's telling every one of us, to work for me. So surrender to Krishna and work for Krishna. So why not work for Krishna? So here I see viparitani, everything is opposite, there is no happiness. So that is intelligence. I have to work hard, but why not surrender to Krishna and work for Krishna? So Krishna says, surrender to me. Sarva dharman parityajamam ekam sharanam raja in 18.66 shloka Bhagavad Gita. So here Krishna is asking to act, work for him, giving up everything. So here also I'm working very hard, but here I'm working hard to be happy. But the viparitani, I am becoming unhappy, you know. So that's material, Maya, illusion. So why not work for Krishna? And that is intelligence. So I have to work after all. Jivera Swarupa Haya Nitya Krishnera Dasa in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 26.108 to 109. We get the answer. Constitutionally, every living entity is a servant of Krishna. He is eternally servant of Krishna. That's the constitutional position of Jivatma. That you cannot change. That's the constitutional position. Whether you know it or not, you are serving Krishna directly, indirectly, because that is the constitutional position of the soul, Jiva. You cannot be independent. You are always dependent on Krishna. Now, in intelligence, having knowledge, you surrender to Krishna, you work for him, that is intelligence. And then you are rightfully working in your constitutional position. So that is Krishna will be pleased and you will be pleased. So if you serve Krishna, that is the bhakti, and it is good, else there will be a reaction. if you work for your own sense gratification under your false ego, under illusion, under Maya, for your sense gratification and false ego, thinking what is I and what is mine, which is false identity, your extended family, and for your what you call yourself I, your body, then there will be reaction. So Jiva's constitutional position is servitude, servantship. That will not go. So under intelligence, if you want to become servant of Krishna, or you want to become under Maya, you want to become servant of your wife, children, relatives, country, nation, or your, in many cases, people in modern days also use they take a pet dog and they serve pet dog. So so this constitutional position of service will not change, and the constitutional position is to serve Krishna. Of service is servitude, servantship is to serve Krishna. That's the constitutional position. So this service will not go. So so at last, if you have no family and you don't become servant of Krishna, then you become a servant of the dog, as it is happening in modern age. If people, you know, they don't take trust ashrama or family life, one way or another, they will be serving somebody or other. To get rid of loneliness, they will take a pet dog, etc. So that is happening. So therefore, intelligent person will take learning from this. I have to become servant. Why not become Krishna servant? Because that is the constitution, and then I will be very happy. And they will realize that. So voluntarily choosing to be Krishna servant and then being happy. So why become a servant of Maya, right? And so Prabhupada says that in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20.16, it is mentioned that Kamadinam Kati Na Kati Dha Palita Durni Deshaha. Servant of lust, servants of greediness, Kama, Krodha, Moha, Matsarya, you know, lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride, envy, like that. And then be in a fearful situation, being servant of all these senses. These are the enemies of the mind. So one needs to understand the psychological condition, how the mind, what are the functions of mind, intelligence, ego, what is consciousness, and then take the right decision from learning from Bhagavad Gita. So, so when one becomes a servant of Maya, then one realizes that even if I don't wish to do something which is not very good, but still I'm obliged to do it. So we understand that the six animals of the mind, um, and through this you accumulate your prarabdha karma, right? You in your past life you use this under the influence of the six enemies of the mind. You will accumulate prarabdha karma. You will do things which you don't want to do, but you will be forced. And in present life, you will have if you are under the three effects of the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, ignorance. Depending if you are in the lower mode, you will incur um, very high suffering like that. So the force of this prarabdha karma and three modes of material nature is very strong. So one needs to be under the shelter of Krishna, and one needs to try to practice Krishna consciousness, bhakti yoga, and at least try to endeavor to be in mode of goodness. And then one can uplift himself into pure unalloyed goodness, Shuddha Sattva. Um, and that one can do taking to Hari Bhakti, Krishna consciousness, and learning from the scriptures and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and listening to Hari Katha. So we can take Krishna's mercy, but we take Krishna's mercy, we cannot get it directly. We have to take it through Guru. Guru. So it's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita Leela 19.151. Guru Krishna Kripaya. By the grace of the spiritual master, by the grace of Krishna, I've got this intelligence. Now I have come to you as to serve. Kindly engage me in your service. That is surrender. So I have served my senses, lust, greediness, and other things so faithfully, and still they are not satisfied. So now I choose to engage in your service. I surrender to you. I engage my senses in your service. So, and this is called vairagya, right? Renunciation. Understanding that everything belongs to Krishna and needs to be used for Krishna. All one needs to spiritualize one's senses, and whether it is material objects or whatever material wealth or health or whatever you've accumulated, everything belongs to Krishna, material or spiritual. Everything is either spiritual potency of Krishna or material potency of Krishna. Manifestation of material potency or spiritual potency, and thus it should be rightfully engaged in the service of Krishna. Then it is vairagya, right vairagya, yukta vairagya, jnana vairagya yuktaya. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.12 it is mentioned. In human life, this intelligence is required, this vairagya is required, not to serve this material but to serve Krishna. So here Arjuna is playing the role of an ordinary man. He's asking questions um, like on behalf of us. So, so Krishna has given us independence, and he will not touch this independence. Because Krishna is independence, we are part and parcel of Krishna. So we have this little minute intelligence, and Krishna will never step over this independence. We will have to choose and take a decision whether we want to engage in Maya and do our sense gratification, or surrender to Krishna and utilize this independence in service of Krishna by surrendering to Krishna. So that is the right way, because the nature of Krishna is Preeti, love, prema. That is his nature, and because we are part or parcel of Krishna, so that is also our nature to love, and but we love. So here, service, serving in love and enthusiasm, that is Krishna conscious life. So we have to do it voluntarily and with great pleasure, and that is what Krishna likes. He will never step over our minute independence. Um, so yeah, so here also it is explicit. Prabhupada explains that there are two things, Shreya and Preya. Arjuna is speaking of Shreya. Shreya means ultimate good. Preya means immediately palatable. What you find pleasure, take pleasure in something immediately, but it might not be good. So ultimate good, that is Shreya. Preya means immediately palatable. So Prabhupada says that everyone should be interested in Shreya, not for Preya. So Prabhupada gives an example. So say for example, natural tendency of a child is to play throughout the day. So that is called Preya. He likes immediate pleasure, but his parents tell him to go to school and study, read books, etc. So in this context, parents are concerned with Shreya, ultimate good. Education is required for their child. So considering the future prospect, ultimate good, that is called Shreya. And Priya means immediate. So sometimes we take something, um, um, we overindulge in something, we eat something and we are not able to digest, and it has a bad effect later on. So that's an example of Priya. So a lot of time people take to intoxication, um, concerned with immediate pleasure, no immediate effect, but not concerned about the effect later in future. So that we need to be mindful. We need to take care of that. So Arjuna is considering with reference to his future when he says that if I kill my kinsman, what benefit will I get with this victory, with this kingdom? So he's thinking in term of in future. Um, so he wants to enjoy with his society, with his friends and his family, what he calls his mind, and so that is Prabhupada gives an example of these Shreya and Preya. um, so Prabhupada also explains the ashramas, these grahastha ashrama, vanaprastha, sannyasa, brahmachari. um, so these status of life is suitable for you. You can accept whichever status of life is suitable for you, whether brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa. But it needs to be ashrama. Ashrama means um, cultivating spiritual life, right? So whether it is grahastha ashrama, you have wife and children, it is for spiritual, cultivating spiritual life. So that is what the word ashrama here means. That's a suffix. So grahastha means wife and children, but when you do it for cultivating spiritual life, it's ashrama. Similarly, the other ashrama, brahmacharya, vanaprastha, sannyasa. So word ashrama has got reference with cultivation of spiritual life or connection with Krishna. So you're dedicating your life to Krishna for spiritual life. Um, so here, Arjuna is in Grastha Ashrama. He wants to serve Krishna. He is Krishna's friend and he's also his devotee. Krishna has already recommended that in the fourth chapter. He will declare Bhakto Asi Priyo Asi Me. 4.3 of Shloka Bhagavad Gita. You are my dear friend, you are my devotee. So he's qualified. He is Grastha Ashrami. He's a devotee of Krishna. But he's also a family man. He has his wife and children. Now the problem here is that he's confused. What is the Shreya? What is the ultimate good? And that is the mistake he's making here. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita is required to remove this illusion, this confusion. So, although he's a devotee, he's thinking that Krishna is not so important. My family is important. Krishna is always important. So, as a Kanishta Adhikari, so there are three stages of devotion: Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. So, as a Kanishta Adhikari, the lower stage of devotion at the beginning, one may be interested in Krishna consciousness, but he's also interested, but his real interest lies in how to improve his material life. So, for his living, for bread and butter, etc. So that is okay. Prabhupada says that is okay, that is good. Um, he has gone to God, that is taken spiritual life to make a living for bread, and he's better than others who are sinful and not taking to spiritual life. So slowly will progress. The person will progress from this lower stage to Madhyama Adhikari and Uttama Adhikari. So like that. So the four kinds Prabhupada is in Bhagavad Gita later in 7.16 we get to know there are four kinds of people they become devotee. Artho अर्थार्थी जिज्ञासुर ज्ञानी च भरतार्षभा चतुर्विधा भजन्ते माम सुकृतिनो arjuna. So who are they? Artha means those who are distressed. Artharthi, one who's poor, wants some money. Jigyasu, inquisitive, and Jnani, man of knowledge. So this artharthi, this is meant. This is referred to the grasta. So sometimes people in grasta ashrama they get distressed. Um, Prabhupada says that unless there is Krishna or full consciousness of Krishna, even in grasta ashrama, there can be some miserable situation. There can be some distress. So, so unless there is Krishna or full Krishna consciousness, this is the center. This has to be there. One cannot remove Krishna from center. One has to have full consciousness of Krishna, even in grasta ashrama. Then there is no misery. Otherwise, dukhalem ashashvatam. Simply working day hard day and night for children, wife. Sometimes somebody is sick, and sometimes you need to satisfy, and so many things. You are serving as a servant, but still people are not satisfied. There will be problems. As Krishna has to be in the center, and all problems will be solved. So one should be in if one is in a grust ashrama, and not just family life. It has to be ashrama. There has to be spiritual um, consciousness, cultivating spiritual consciousness, because um, children will see what parents do. Wife will also see husband as a role model. Children will see parents as a role model. So one has to cultivate spiritual consciousness in even in grahastha life. Then it's a grahastha ashrama. So same with the other ashramas also. Um, so Arjuna is talking of ultimate good, but with the point of view from material conception. So he is not aware of his actual Shreya, you know. Um, the ultimate good is Krishna always. So So this is how we get to learn. So even in family life, Krishna has to be in the center. Even in the other ashramas, Krishna has to be in the center. Cultivating. So all the ashramas are actually for cultivating spiritual life, right? So in Grahastha ashrama, so somebody who has to have family life, one cannot live alone, then he has to take to Grahastha life, but it should be ashrama. Same with brahmachari or vanaprastha. So like that, Krishna has to be in the center. Then then it's a ashrama, and then it's rightfully utilizing this human life we have got, you know, which is not, which is of great significance, because only in human life one can um, get out of the cycle of birth and death, right? The real purpose of life, because in because in human life, um, the jiva has very high. The you have person has very high consciousness and not available in other species, lower species. And the consciousness is very low, intelligence is low. So here one can inquire and take to spiritual life and get out of the cycle of birth and death. So this is a boon, and one should not let it go waste. One should not let it go waste. Whether it is a grasta, sannyasa, brahmacharya, um, vanaprastha, whatever it is, ashrama, it has to be ashrama. There has to be spiritual cultivation of spiritual life of Krishna consciousness. Krishna has to be in the center. So then it is the right thing to do. So, so through Arjuna, we get to know how one has to give up this attachment to material life, and understand what is the right Shreya, ultimate good um, in future. So through Arjuna, we get to know, and we can take to Krishna consciousness, learning from Arjuna, learning from the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and taking Ashraya of a guru, self-realized guru who is already serving Krishna and teaching us through his life how to achieve success in spiritual life. So thank you, Prabhuji Mataji. Thanks for joining. If anybody has any questions, please ask before we call it a day. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone.